SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena joins me for more. Sophie, good evening to you and welcome. When we talk about pomp and ceremony, effectively, this is, the originator and the trendsetter, if you will, around pomp and ceremony, particularly from a British or an English point of view. Just share with us, some of the highlights in the moments and the events since the passing of Queen Elizabeth.
I think we are now fully aware that she passed on, or she died in Balmoral. And today we saw for the first time the coffin making its way to Edinburgh in Scotland, where tomorrow ordinary people will be able to visit the cathedral and also to send their condolences to the members of the family of Queen Elizabeth. We know that Princess Anne and her husband are already there, and we know that in the afternoon tomorrow, British King Charles III will join them after he has made an appearance at the House of Commons in the morning. And we know that the body will then be taken to Balmoral on Tuesday en route to London, and then that's where many activities will take place.
The coffin you referred to there, Sophie, set to be transferred to the palace's throne room, and that's where household staff and those who were close to the Queen will get to pay their final respects. You mentioned, crowds all across the United Kingdom commemorating and marking this day. We saw members of the royal family yesterday receiving tributes and bouquets from the general public. But all the attention, in a way, besides the funeral, of course, which is the culminative event, focuses on King Charles III and what his role is likely to be in the days and weeks ahead. We were discussing with our reporter a little bit earlier on the convergence of the newness of their roles between himself and Liz Truss, the new UK Prime Minister. Yes,
indeed. We got a sense of what he is all about or what he wants to do. Clearly, he's fully aware that he's quite senior now, and there's a likelihood that there will be a time where he will have to hand over, or there will be a transition to a new generation, a younger generation, in this case, Prince William. And therefore, he was giving an indication that he is not going to do much. Here and there, he is going to make changes, particularly strengthening the relationship within the Commonwealth family, but not much, but also saying that all those activities that he was involved in, where he was doing a public good, particularly on issues related to climate change, environment, they will have to be done by somebody. And now we know that his focus will be strengthening the monarchy, and also to ensure that there's a strong relationship with the members of the Commonwealth. And we know that this afternoon he had a meeting with all the commissioners from the Commonwealth countries. He also, before meeting the commissioners, held talks with the Secretary of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland. And we know that maybe during those informal discussions, he gave an indication to those who were there in terms of what he is going to do to strengthen the relationship within the Commonwealth family.
Speaking about looking to the future, and you hinted there at some of the highlights of what a monarchy under King Charles III is going to shape up to be, with focus, as you've just mentioned, on things like climate change. Let's talk about modernity and the currency of the monarchy in modern times. Judging by the crowds thronging the streets all across the United Kingdom, or those who are mourning across the United Kingdom since the passing of Queen Elizabeth, what's your sense on the longevity of the monarchy?
Well, for some, it has been a liability, but for some, it is indeed contributing to the GDP of the country in terms of tourists who visit the United Kingdom to visit these different palaces and castles, and also to visit particularly Buckingham Palace. And therefore, in terms of tradition, you still have people who really believe in monarchy. And it is a clear indication when you look at people who were out there when this coffin was traveling from Balmoral to Edinburgh. And we expect the same in London, starting from Tuesday. And therefore, you still have people who believe in this system. And I think some people see, or the Queen was kind of a grandmother who was able to hold the nation together during the difficult time. Who can forget her speech during the COVID-19? I mean, those words that we will again be with our loved ones. And indeed, today, you can see those thousands of people lining up the streets. They are not wearing masks. Even here in South Africa, we don't have people wearing masks in most cases, and therefore relative normalcy has returned. And that is the message she gave to members of the Commonwealth, and particularly those who are members of the United Kingdom or citizens of the United Kingdom, that life will be normal again. And as life returns to normalcy, unfortunately, she is no more.
Thank you very much for that perspective, Sophie. Appreciate it. Sophie Mokoena is the SABC's International News Editor.